What's going on, everybody, man? This your boy C Wells, still your SWAC tour guide coming at you. Um, got a early edition, man. Hopped on. Want to go ahead and do this little week 4 recap. Getting ready to hit the road to Jackson in a few minutes, so want to go ahead and pop in, pop out, man, and let y'all know what happened in week 4. So let's go ahead and get to this, man. As usual. Socials down in the description: facebook.com/swagtalk, twitter.com/swagtalk76, instagram.com/swagtalk, swagtalk76 at gmail.com is the email address. You can also check out the Cash App if you want to donate a little money to the show, so a little love and support. $Swag Talk. Also, Swag Talk Podcast, Spotify, Stitcher, Breaker, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. Check that out. Um, Tomorrow we're gonna recap the Southern Valley game, so stay tuned for that. Wednesday we have some week 5 previews coming at you. Thursday live edition of Swag Smoke. Sunday recap week 5. Also coming this week, don't know what time yet, but gonna collab with my boy Jamie G from the No Slack in the Swag podcast. So we're gonna do a little something. I don't know if it's gonna be on mine or his, but I'll definitely let you know on that. So man, let's not waste no more time, man. Let's get right down to it. We're gonna start with the Texas Southern Rice game. Texas Southern had a nice offensive showing in this game. As they lost to Rice 48-34, but they played they were down 20-6 for most of the game, and then they went on a nice little run. They went into the half down 20-6, and actually scored 28 points in the second half to basically have a stalemate with Rice 28-28 in the second half. So Texas Southern made a good offensive showing in the second half, put together some things, and held their own, even though they were down 14 points going into the half. But I thought that was a nice showing for especially a team like Texas Southern to not fall behind but not quit. 21 first downs for the Tigers, 30 for Rice, 104 yards rushing for Texas Southern on 35 carries, 3 yards per carry. Rice 349 rushing, that's a problem. 52 carries, 6.7 yards per carry, 6 touchdowns. So that's definitely something still needs to be fixed. 357 passing for Texas Southern, 20 of 36, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. 271 passing for Rice, 18 of 23, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. 461 yards of offense for the Tigers, 71 plays, 6.5 yards per play, 1 fumble, but they didn't lose it. 7 penalties for 62 yards. Rice 620 total offense, 75 plays, 8.3 yards per play, 3.3 fumbles, lost 2, 8 penalties for 70 yards. Texas Southern 39.7 yards per punt, Rice 40.7. Third downs, Texas Southern was 4 for 15, 3 of 3 on fourth down, and they had 5 for 5 in the red zone and 1 sack. Texas Rice 2 of 8 on third down, so that's a nice number for Texas Southern defense. Even though they got gashed a lot, they still were able to get some third down stops. 1 for 2 on fourth down, 5 of 6 in the red zone, and 2 sacks. Let's take a quick look at the individual numbers. Texas Southern, Andrew Body, 353, no touchdowns. Jalen Brown threw the touchdown for them. But that's a nice game for a freshman. Andrew Body, I think he's going to be a guy who you can keep an eye out on. I think he may be the guy going forward, but we'll see. Jake Constantine for Rice, 18 of 23, 271, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Andrew Body led Texas Southern with 62 yards rushing for 2 touchdowns. Kevin Harris, 23 yards rushing, 1 touchdown. Rice was led by Jordan Myers, 160 yards and 4 touchdowns. Keelan Davis, 181 yards receiving for Texas Southern. Jaron Johnson, 67 yards receiving. Jonathan Giles, 43 yards and a touchdown. Cedric Patterson III led Rice with 108 yards receiving and 1 touchdown. Texas Southern was led in tackles by Julian Marcantel, Calvin Harrison, Cedric Williams, and Andre Gibbs. Rice was led by George Naya Wako with 7 tackles, and Antonio Montero with 6. Naheem Smith and Kenneth Orji with 5. Also, Josh Percy had 5. So this was a game that I thought, obviously Rice had the game in control in the first half, but they Texas Southern had a nice offensive showing in the second half. 28 points scored. Defense still allowed 28 points, so that's not good. But I thought they played well in the second half. I was able to catch a few plays here and there, and they were in the red zone quite a bit in the second half. So nice showing in the second half to kind of get things going and kind of set yourself up for the future, hopefully. Moving on to the next game, I want to talk about Tuskegee and Alabama A&M. This game went not as expected. Tuskegee put up a huge fight. A&M able to do what they do in that score, but they also did what they do on defense, and that's not stop people from scoring. 45-35 was the final score. Again, a game where a team went into the half with a lead, and there was a stalemate in the second half. So Alabama A&M went into the half up 17-7, and basically second half was a 28-28 tie. So the margin was 10 points, same as halftime. Tuskegee 17 first downs, A&M 31. 165 yards rushing for Tuskegee, 143 for Alabama A&M. 278 passing for Tuskegee, 16 of 31. 416 through the air for the Bulldogs, 28 of 40. 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Tuskegee did have two touchdowns. 443 total yards for Tuskegee, 68 plays, 6.5 yards per play. They fumbled 4 times and lost 3. 11 penalties for 113 yards for Tuskegee. So fumbles and penalties did them in this game. 559 total offense for Alabama A&M, 74 plays, 7.6 yards per play, 1 fumble, and they lost it. 7 penalties for 54 yards. A&M did not punt in this game. Tuskegee punted 4 times for 36-yard average. Third downs, Tuskegee 8 of 17, 2 for 3 on fourth downs, 4 for 4 in the red zone, and they had 3 sacks. 5 of 10 on third down for A&M, 1 of 2 on fourth downs, 5 of 6 in the red zone, and they had 1 sack. Individually, Tuskegee was led in passing by Lewis Williams. He had 210 yards and 2 touchdowns. Akil Glass, 405, 4 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. He was sacked 3 times. He was 27 of 39, so a good outing for him minus the interceptions. Avonte Patterson, 100 yards rushing for Tuskegee and 3 touchdowns. Gary Quarles, 164 yards rushing for A&M and 2 touchdowns. Jamal Pritchett, 148 yards for Tuskegee receiving, 1 touchdown. Ibrahim, 177 receiving on 8 catches. D. Anderson, 80 yards receiving on 5 catches and 3 touchdowns. So a big game for him. Odu Hilaire, 78 yards receiving and 1 touchdown on 8 catches. Defensively, Carl Matthews led Tuskegee with 11 tackles, and Isaac Smith, 11 tackles. Wesley Appleton, 10 tackles. Woody Appleton, 9 tackles. Keenan Jr., 4 tackles. A&M was led on defense by Armani Holloway with 5 tackles. Brandon Bailey with 5 tackles. Demetrius Biambi, 5 tackles. Troutman, 4 tackles. McNeil, 4 tackles. And Carter, 4 tackles. This defense is going to have to start to improve, and is going to have to start pretty much right away. You cannot keep playing defense like this. Yes, you have a great offense, and yes, you can outscore pretty much anybody you play. But, at some point, the defense is going to have to start to make some stops and make things a little bit easier for your offense. We are 3 games into the season for the Bulldogs, and that still hasn't happened yet. So they are going to have to improve on defense. They've allowed 41, 27, and 35 in their 3 games. And yes, they've scored 42, 30, and 45. So yes, you only have to outscore your opponent, but at some point you're going to run into a problem if your offense struggles to an extent. I mean, Alabama A&M has a great offense, but everybody has an off day from time to time, or at least a subpar day for them. So you don't want to put your defense. Your defense should not put your offense in those kind of issues, and that's gonna happen. And this is the flip side of things. Jackson State has been playing tremendous defense, and offensively they've had not been playing well, and they defeated Delta State 24-17 in a game that could have easily went to overtime if Delta State's quarterback threw a catchable pass on 4th down and goal late in the game. Jackson State had this game under control at 17-0 at halftime, and Delta State scored 17 points in the second half to make some things a little bit uncomfortable for Jackson State. Offensively, Jackson State offensive line still is a problem. They are not blocking well at all. They still cannot run the football. They're allowing too many hits on the quarterback. That offensive line has to improve, or they have a bye week, so hopefully they can clean some things up then. But right now, it's not looking good. Defensively, they're playing well. This is the first multi-touchdown game that they've allowed. But you can't keep asking your defense to go out there and keep making stops on an offense if that offense is competent. And Delta State is a very solid team. They're a traditional Division II power, so they weren't a pushover at all. But still, this Jackson State team has better athletes. This is a game that you probably could just out-athlete your opponent and win by 2 or 3 touchdowns. But they could not do that, and they could not get out of their own way on offense. And that, they're throwing the ball well, at least when you look at the numbers, but they're still not running the ball at all. Looking at the stats, Delta State had 10 first downs on the day, so defensively, again, they didn't allow them to drive the ball. 21 first downs for Jackson State, 146 yards rushing for Delta State, 4.9 yards per rush, 1 touchdown. Jackson State, 65 yards rushing. 65 yards rushing on 38 carries. They lost 56 yards on the day. They're averaging 1.7 yards per carry. That is horrible. That cannot happen. I mean, yes, you won, and a win is a win. You rather win ugly than lose pretty, but that number is gonna have to improve in SWAC play. And I still hold out hope that it's gonna improve, because I think they have the guys on this team that can do it. The offensive line has no chemistry right now. They are soft right now. They're going to have to really get in the lab and get some things together, but that 1.7 yards per carry just is not going to get it done. Delta State, 91 yards passing, 12 of 33, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Jackson State, 25 of 39, 251 passing, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Total offense, 237 for Delta State, 63 plays, 3.8 yards per play. They fumbled 3 times and lost 1. They had 6 penalties for 50 yards. Jackson State, 316 yards of offense on 77 plays, 4.1 yards per play. 2 fumbles and they lost 1. 6 penalties for 62 yards. Jackson State punted for a 35-yard average on 8 punts. Delta State punted for a 40-yard average on 9 punts. Third down conversions, Delta State 3 of 17. Again, defense doing their job. Offense 7 of 18 on third down. 1 for 3 on 4th down for Delta State. 0 for 0 for Jackson State on 4th down. One of the rare games that didn't go for a 4th down. Delta State was 0 for 1 in the red zone. Jackson State 4 for 4. This number here, I mean, yes, sacks are something that don't really, always tell the tale of a game. But Jackson State had 2 sacks on the game with that defense that they have, and Delta State had 5 sacks. You cannot allow your quarterback to be sacked 5 times, no matter who you're playing. There's just too many hits on your quarterback, and that stuff starts to add up. And Shedeur went out. I think Coach Prime said it was a shoulder stinger, but he went out in the 4th quarter with an injury. So you can't allow your quarterback to keep getting hit. If that's going to be a problem, if that's going to continue, your quarterback may not make it through the season, and I'm not trying to wish anything on him. I wish nothing but the best for the young man. But if the offensive line doesn't do him any favors, he's gonna get hit, and he's gonna get hit hard. So that's, if for no other reason than the health of your quarterback, that has to improve. Patrick Shegog, 91 yards passing for Delta State and 1 touchdown. 251 passing for Shador and 3 touchdowns. Dion Dampler, 93 yards and a touchdown for Delta State. Rico Owens, 44 yards. Santee Marshall led Jackson State with 62 yards rushing on the night. Dante Myers, 54 yards and a touchdown for Delta State. Keith Corbin, huge game for Jackson State, 113 yards and 2 touchdowns. Warren Newman continues to be probably the most consistent guy on that offense, 78 yards receiving and 1 touchdown and a huge punt return in the I think it was the second quarter for Jackson State. He continues to make plays. The ball needs to be in his hands a lot. Terry Marvin led Delta State with 11 tackles along with Dante Williams with 11. John Boyd, 8. Sherrod Page, 5. Derek Snow, 4. Jackson State was led on defense by Aubrey Miller with 9 tackles. Keontae Hampton, 7. Devontae Davis, 6. Shiloh Sanders, 4. And James Houston, 4, along with Niles Gaddy, also had 4. This was not obviously the best defensive effort Jackson State had, but they did a really good job of controlling Delta State and making them have to work for every yard that they got. Offensively, it made the game look probably worse than it was because they just could not consistently move the football on the ground. The passing game is doing what it needs to do, but at some point you're gonna have to run the football and you're gonna have to protect your quarterback, because that can lead to some long days. But that team won, and they move on to their bye week at 3-1. So, we'll see what happens when they come out their bye week. The next game we're gonna cover is Bethune-Cookman and Alabama State. Alabama State defeated Bethune-Cookman 38-24 in a game that they basically controlled the whole game. A huge win for Alabama State. Nice showing for the Hornets. Bethune-Cookman drops to 0-4 and 0-2 in conference. Things are looking kind of shaky right now. Me and pretty much anybody who's been previewing and talking about SWAC football has been saying, watch out for Bethune-Cookman because they're dangerous. Watch out for Bethune-Cookman because they're going to be a problem. I didn't show a lot of respect to Alabama State. I wanna say, I'm my bad on that. Y'all stepped up and showed out in this game. Bethune-Cookman, again, another loss. That's 4 straight losses to start the season and 2 straight in the conference. Your things are looking rocky, man. Y'all gonna have to regroup and get some things back together. But Alabama State played a really good game yesterday, and got the W. Bethune-Cookman 16 first downs, Alabama State 21, 12 yards rushing for Bethune-Cookman. That is I don't even know a word to say for what that is. When you're a team who comes into the game with the leading rusher in the conference and you leave with 12 yards rushing, you're gonna lose. Unless you have an offense that can throw for 600 yards, you're gonna lose because you can't keep the defense honest now. And that's they only ran the ball 20 times, so they didn't really commit to running the football. Curious offensive game plan on the night. They only had 50 yards total on offense. 16 net. 12 net yards rushing on 55 total yards. So they didn't even do anything, even if you don't subtract sacks and lost yardage. 0.6 yards per carry, but they did have 2 touchdowns. So I guess you can take that into account. But that was a testament to Alabama State defense. They played very aggressively and shut down the run completely. 111 yards rushing for Alabama State, 3.2 yards per carry, 3 touchdowns. Passing, 247 for Bethune-Cookman, 21 of 44, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. 267 passing for Alabama State, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. 259 total offense for Bethune-Cookman, 64 plays, 4 yards per play. They fumbled 3 times and lost all 3. So 4 turnovers on the night, 3 penalties for 30 yards. Alabama State, 378 total offense, 77 plays, 4.9 yards per play. They fumbled once and lost it. 6 penalties for 58 yards, 40 yards per punt for Bethune-Cookman on 5 punts, 41 yards per punt for Alabama State on 4 punts. 2 of 12 on third down for Bethune-Cookman, 1 for 2 on fourth down, 4 for 4 in the red zone. They had 3 sacks on the night. 10 of 18 for Alabama State on third down, 1 for 1 on fourth down, 6 for 6 in the red zone, and 4 sacks for the Hornets. So just not a good showing for Bethune-Cookman. Alabama State basically had control of this game, and they basically won it going away. Shannon Patrick, 237 through the air, 1 touchdown. And he also had 1 interception. He was sacked 4 times, 20 of 40. So 50% completion. And I said this was a guy who could be a factor in this game, but obviously that was not correct. Ryan Nettles, 23 of 41, 260, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He was sacked twice. He was sacked 3 times. Jimmy Robinson, the third, 22 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. Quishon Bird, who came into the game leading the SWAC in rushing, had 17 yards on the night. He ran the ball a total of 5 times. So I don't know if I didn't watch the game, so I don't know if he got injured or whatever. If anybody know, let me know in the comments, because I don't want to throw no shade at somebody if they got injured. I'm going to look myself, but, if you guys know if something happened with him, I want to, show the proper respect. I don't want to throw no shade if somebody got hurt, because that's not fair to the player. But Ja'Cory Merritt, 42 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns. Ezra Gray, 32 yards rushing, 1 touchdown. 140 yards receiving for Kamari Everett, 1 touchdown. He had 9 catches on the night, so a nice night for him. Jeremiah Hickson, 100 yards receiving, 1 touchdown on 7 catches. Defensively, Takevin Thomas, 9 tackles for Bethune-Cookman. Ontario Johnson, 8. Malik Franklin, 7. Devontre Hampton, 6. Alabama State was led in tackles by Brandon Gaddy with 6. Ershaw Davis, 5. Nicholas Terry, 4. Jeffrey Scott, 4. Austin Brundridge, 4. Culpepper, Martin, and Webster each had 3. So this was just, a solid outing for Alabama State. They needed this win. A lot of people have been saying, me included, have been saying that Coach Hill Ely may be on a hot seat. But, this was a big victory for them, that first SWAC win on the season. So that puts you in a good position to start the season. But Bethune-Cookman, man, you're going to have to step it up. You running out of time. This conference is tough. This division is tough. You can't afford to lose very many more games. So that just, those kind of things just cannot happen anymore. You almost cannot lose anymore. But we know that's not going to be the case, because just the way the season works. They're going to win a game somewhere. But they just have to really get some things going, because they're not looking good right now, and they are struggling at this point. And they're looking more and more like that team who was picked to be 5th in the division. So they need to work some things out and get it together. So our next game, State Fair Classic, Grambling and Prairie View. Prairie View wins 24-10. I'm trying to find a box score in this game. I cannot find one anywhere. It's really annoying me because I want to see the stats on this game, but I'm not really finding them right now. And like I said, that's really annoying me. But Prairie View, from what I was able to hear from the game, because I think this game, first off, let me say, this game should be televised every year. There's no reason for this game to not be televised. This is a big classic. Yes, Grambling was not playing the best in this game, but this is a game that for the last few years has been a very close contest. It's been an exciting contest. Prairie View has won 4 straight, but still, this is a huge game, and it's hardly ever televised. So especially this season, this game should have been televised somewhere. I was able to listen to the Grambling broadcast from time to time, and now I can't find a box score. So this game is just really annoying me, and I don't like that. But Grambling fell behind 10-0, and they couldn't really get much going in the game. Grambling continues to struggle to move the football. The offense was able to score 10 points, so that was their first point since the Tennessee State game. But they can't do anything. Noah Biden came in to replace Elijah Walker, but they couldn't move the football. Grambling was down 17-10 with 1:14 left in the third quarter. Prairie View was able to score on a 36-yard touchdown from pass to Howard, and that gave them a 24-10 lead with about 11 minutes left. Grambling second quarter touchdown stopped the streak of 9 quarters without a point, so that's good that they finally were able to score. They played 4 quarterbacks in this game: Elijah Walker, Alden Clark, John Paul Pierce, and Noah Biden. They're looking for answers. They're just throwing things at the wall and trying to see what happens. But not a lot I can say from this game because I don't have any numbers to really pull from this. But just still a solid effort from Prairie View. They seemed like they were gonna blow this game open, and I predicted they would win this game in a huge fashion, but they just were steady. Grambling's defense did play well considering the fact that they were put in so many bad positions, but they just the offense just cannot score. They cannot move the football, and they barely can score. So until they get those issues fixed, that defense is going to be dog tired every week, and those big plays are going to continue to happen. So they played 4 quarterbacks. They're going to find somebody, and hopefully that guy can get the job done. I don't think it's going to be Elijah Walker. I was very high on him coming into the season, but he's looked very bad. But he can rebound. We've seen guys have rough starts to seasons and get better. So you always want to see a kid improve. You don't want anybody to have a lot of hard times. But right now it's not looking good for Grambling's offense. So they have an offensive coordinator who came in with a lot of acclaim. So there are some things that they're gonna have to try to figure out, and that's just one of those things they're gonna have to figure out and see what happens. So we're gonna move on from that game to the last game that I'm gonna talk about today, which was probably the best game. If you are an Alcorn fan, it ended the best. If you're a Pine Bluff fan, it started the best. For neutral fans like me, I honestly midway through the game I stopped paying attention. I was like, Alcorn gonna get blowed out in this game. They weren't looking good at all. Pine Bluff had this game in control. This game reminded me of the spring Southern Pine Bluff game. Pine Bluff jumped up to a huge lead on Southern. Southern could not get out of their own way. So many mistakes. But Southern made a furious rally and came back. And they lost by 3 in that game, 30-13, as they were driving for the winning score, or at least the tying score, and they threw an interception. They probably would have scored, but ifs and ands or whatever. But Alcorn was able to complete this comeback and win 39-38 in a game that Pine Bluff, there's no reason they should have lost this game. This game really falls on the shoulders of your coaching staff. That decision to go for it on 4th and whatever, deep in the red zone when you have a very solid kicker and you have the lead. I'm not a field goal guy. I hate kicking field goals, but in those kind of situations, you kick the field goal, you take the points, you extend your lead, you don't give Alcorn any momentum, and your defense probably makes another stop, and Alcorn has to punt most likely. But if they score, you still have momentum on your side. Alcorn just really negated all of that, and they fought back. Pine Bluff just got sloppy and could not finish. Alcorn 22 first downs, Pine Bluff 18. Pine Bluff ran the ball for 87 yards on the night. Again, in big games, where's the running game? Where is it? 3.1 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns. Alcorn 143 yards rushing, 3.3 yards per carry, 3 touchdowns. 316 yards passing for Pine Bluff, 24-39. 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Felix Harper, an Alcorn, 368 through the air, 16 of 32, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. 511 total offense for the Braves. 75 plays, 6.8 yards per play, 1 fumble, didn't lose it. 6 penalties, 45 yards. These are going to be some numbers to circle coming up. 403 total offense for Pine Bluff, not that one. 67 plays, not that one. 6 yards per play, not that one. 5 fumbles, 4 lost. Circle that. And 9 penalties for 79 yards. Circle that. Those and that rushing yardage, that's your game right there. If you can run the ball, you salt this game away. You don't turn the ball over. You put Alcorn away. You don't have costly penalties. You put Alcorn away. When you lose a game like this, it comes down to a few things, and those are some things that killed them. Alcorn punted for 25 yards per punt on 6 punts. They did have a punt block. Pine Bluff punted 4 times for 37 yards. 7 of 16 for Alcorn on 3rd down. 4 of 12 for Pine Bluff. 1 for 2 on 4th down for Alcorn. 0 for 2 for Pine Bluff. And it probably should be 0 for 0 because they shouldn't have went for that 4th down deep in the red zone, which probably in turn means they don't have to go for it on 4th down at the end of the game. Alcorn had won the time of possession battle. They just really, the second half, Alcorn just did what they needed to do. Pine Bluff did have 6 sacks on the night. Alcorn's offensive line still not playing well, but they won in spite of that. Felix Harper, 16 of 32, as I said, 368, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Skylar Perry, 24 of 39, 316, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Nico Duffy, 142 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns. Big game for him. I thought it would be huge for him to have a big game for them to win, and he did. Pine Bluff, Kiara Crossley, 44 yards, 2 touchdowns. Britton, 7 carries, 27 yards, no touchdowns, 3.9 yards per rush. Crossley, 3.4 yards per rush. The running game in big games has to improve. CJ Bowler, 2nd straight big week for him, 151 yards, 1 touchdown. LaCharles Pringle, 126 yards, 2 touchdowns. Juan Anthony, 57 yards. They did their job. Receivers and quarterback did their job. Josh Wilkes, 85 yards and a touchdown. Dawkins, 64 yards. Tyron Ralph, 44 yards. Defense, Kinsler led Alcorn with 12 tackles. Cherilus, 9 tackles. Juwan Teller, 7. Solomon Wise, 4. Macaris Blunt, 4. Tavian McCallum, 4. And Nichelle Haran, 4. Pine Bluff was led by Jalen Thigpen with 8. Kobe Watts, 8 tackles. Also Solomon Brooks and Monroe Beard with 6. Timon Akins, 5. Fleming, 4. This is Atlanta Falcons, New England Patriots 28-3 level bad, of blowing a lead. This cannot happen, man. And it definitely can't happen at home. You expect a comeback like this to happen on the road because, the home fans got behind the team and then you buckled under pressure. Everything is in your favor on the road. It's a Thursday night game. Ain't really a lot of people there. You at home, you have a chance to make a statement. You let it go and you lost it basically because of dumb coaching decisions. There's going to have to be some real soul searching in Pine Bluff. And there's no rest for the weary because Thursday night they play Prairie View, and Prairie View is very strong on defense and an offense that's capable of scoring as well. So Pine Bluff is in a precarious situation right now. Yes, they're 0-1, but having another huge West Division matchup coming next week, that can put you in a bad spot in a division race that's not going to be that you cannot afford to fall behind in. And that goes for both sides of the conference. Nobody can afford to fall too far behind because the teams at the top, I think, are gonna really take control. If somebody's gonna get a stranglehold on the division, there's some huge games in each division late, so nothing will be settled. But that's how that goes. One game remaining, and that's today. Southern and Valley in Jackson. I will be heading up there in a little while to check out that game. I'll report on it on Monday. Let's take a quick look at the Week 5 schedule before we get out of here. Like I said, Pine Bluff heads to Prairie View for a Thursday night kickoff, 6:30 broadcast, ESPNU. Saturday, Bethune-Cookman steps out of conference to play South Carolina State, 12:30 kickoff in Orangeburg, South Carolina. My favorite game, and I joke so much about this game, but I really want to pay attention to it just because Texas Southern hosts North American, 2:00 kickoff. AT&T Sportsnet game will be broadcast on TV. Texas Southern homecoming, so they should win that game. Alabama A&M at Grambling, 2:00 kickoff. Grambling offense don't get it together. That game will be ugly, but we'll talk about it more in depth. Valley homecoming, North Carolina Central heads to Itabena to take on Valley's homecoming, 3:00 kickoff. And Alabama State at FAMU, 5:00 kickoff. That game will be broadcast. I guess that's gonna be FAMU Facebook Live. So check that out. So again, not a huge Saturday slate, but a big Thursday game. And then we head into the mid part of October when things really start to get interesting in SWAC play. So that's gonna do it for today's show. Y'all enjoy the rest of y'all day. I'm about to hit this road, so everybody enjoy your Sunday and check me out Monday when I recap the Southern Valley game. So I'll holler at you later.